Now, tie all these things together. Listen carefully. When people think of digital currencies, they usually think of decentralized blockchain currencies like those discussed earlier in this chapter. But a U.S. central bank digital currency would likely be completely different, especially if it's developed under the Biden administration or another leftist White House. Why? Because they're going to teach it. Although developers of CBDCs promise these new currencies will be safe and designed to protect some privacy rights, footnote 373, one of the primary appeals of a CBDC is, from the perspective of governments, is that it would be programmable, meaning it could be designed to act in a certain way based on predetermined criteria. So tie this in. You're going to have an ESG score. It's going to be tied with AI watching you, and now a digital currency that is responsive to AI and those scores. A programmable central bank digital currency could be designed so it could only be utilized for certain kinds of purchases, or so that it has limits on the amount of times it can be used to buy certain goods or products. It's even more likely that some CBDCs, including a U.S. digital dollar, would be designed so the rules for its use could change over time. So if the geniuses of the Fed wake up one day and determine that the U.S. digital dollar should no longer be used to buy gasoline-powered cars, ammunition, guns, alcohol, fatty foods, or pretty much anything else they want to ban, federal bureaucrats could, with a push of a few buttons, make their little authoritarian dreams become a reality. Depending on how the law is written governing CBDC, it is possible, and I would argue likely, that additional legislation would not be required to make such changes. In other words, CBDCs are created in Europe and North America, and the Fed and other central banks, not a democratically elected legislature, are likely going to be in charge of how those digital dollars are used. That's how the Federal Reserve and some other central banks act today, with very little oversight. A programmable digital CBDC could also easily be tracked, taken away, or have their supply greatly expanded, and on short notice. Think how effortless it would be for the Fed to provide a shiny new stimulus plan in an era of the digital dollar. Just make a phone call, wrap some keys on a keyboard, and boom, $1 trillion delivered to 100 million people, all within a couple of minutes. With all these possibilities in mind, is it difficult to imagine why a central bank or its allies in national governments would want to develop a CBDC?